OW route, and this is Pleasant Peninsula. Kitch-iti-kipi. Does that ring any bells? Well, Kitch-iti-kipi is a beautiful freshwater spring deep in the UP. You go over across the bridge, you get on US 2, and you head west, and you get to Manistee. About 25 miles outside of Manistee, you've got Kitch-iti-kipi. And Kitch-iti-kipi was hidden. It was kind of forgotten until John Belair found the place in the 1920s. When he came across it, there were a bunch of trees covering it, debris everywhere. He could see the beauty through the mess. And instead of trying to buy this place and keep it all for himself, what he did was he lobbied the Palms Book Land Company to set aside 90 acres of land all around the area, around Kitch-iti-kipi, and then sell it to the state for just $10. And that's what they did. And in the final agreement, the stipulation was the land will remain a public park, a state park, forever. And it's an incredible story because, like I said, he loved it, but instead of keeping it for himself, he wanted to enshrine it and protect it forever for all Michiganders. And it's such a good example of long-term thinking, of legacy, of thoughtful conservation. And Kitch-iti-kipi, if you haven't been there, I mean, it's absolutely stunning. There's this raft that you can take across the spring. And the bottom is this beautiful aquamarine blue. It's really an otherworldly sight. And then you can see shadows of fish swimming just above the sandy bottom. It's absolutely beautiful. And so many people go in summer because not many people really go to the UP in the winter, unless you're a snowmobiler. Snowmobilers go to the UP in the winter, but most people don't go to the UP in the winter. So most people go to the Kitch-iti-kipi in summer, and that's cool, but there's a bunch of tourists there. But I went in winter just the other week, and it's stunning. It's beautiful. It's the juxtaposition of the freezing cold, the snow along the edges, the ducks curled up in football-like shapes right in the water. And this is the thing that people don't realize. The water never freezes, even in the winter. And that is the beautiful juxtaposition. It can be 8 degrees outside, so freezing, but that water is still unfrozen. And you can take the raft across, and that's what I did. And looking down, seeing those shadowy fish moving slowly in the water, and surrounded by tall trees. It was a beautiful sunny morning as well. No sound of the freeway. No sound of any other voice. No waves. Just glass. You can see why he fell in love with it. And going in the winter, which I highly suggest you do, feels like experiencing Kitch-iti-kipi as it ought to be experienced. Dog sled racing. You have to be insane to do dog sled racing. And I say that in the most positive way possible, but you have to be insane. I had never been around dog sled racing until just the other week when I was up in Marquette for the UP200. And the UP200 is a 230-mile long dog sled race across the UP. And I was there for the afternoon leading up to the race, then right at the start of the race, and I caught up at the very end. And to describe what I mean by you have to be insane to do this, I'll set the scene. Leading up to the race, it's February. In Marquette, it is absolutely freezing. And all afternoon, you see the mushers and the teams getting ready. They're repairing their sleds. They're packing stuff up. Just dealing with all these last-minute things you can tell they're dealing with. They're very focused on all of this. And you had a lot of spectators just sort of walking by, watching and seeing. And then you have the dogs in the trailers. And they keep the dogs in the trailers as long as possible because it's freezing outside. And they're going to start racing at 7 p.m. And as the afternoon wore on into evening, more and more dogs came out. And the dogs start barking. And you can tell they're getting tied up and they're getting ready to leave. And one team starts barking at another team. They're yelping and howling, and it's back and forth. And all these other teams join up. And it's a frenetic energy in the air. And it almost feels, it's pure nature. Because these dogs, you can sense that they just are aching to run. it's almost like an uncontrollable energy, and you can sense it being there. It was incredibly strange, and we're so used to living in a sterile technological environment that to be so close to that man in nature and these animals doing exactly what they're bred to do and aching to do it. It's a powerful, almost spiritual experience. It is incredible. It's fascinating. And at 7 p.m., they head off into the night. And so just as everyone is ready to go inside, and just as everyone's fingers are about to freeze off because they feel like sticks, the mushers and the dogs are going to race all night, and then the next day, and then and just keep going. And that's what I mean when I say you have to be insane to do this. And I caught up at the very end of the race, just a few miles from the finish line. And I saw the soon-to-be winner pass. And the vibe was incredible. It was such a UP scene. It was off in the woods. A bunch of snowmobilers came up. They had a huge bonfire next to the trail where the dogs are going to pass. They had this little shanty with free cocoa and free coffee. And it was just an incredible scene, just such a UP vibe. And waiting there for them to pass, we see them start coming in. It's a long straight shot, and you can see a ways. It's tall trees on either side. And watching them, snow's falling, it's freezing again. Watching them come toward us, those dogs panting, racing. The musher just steadfast. The only thing that came to mind, or what came to mind first, was just perseverance, steely-like determination, perseverance. They were out there all night, sleeping, racing, just keep going. It felt like, and as they passed by, it felt like interfacing with that pure nature. Those dogs doing what they were meant to do. And this musher, with his steely resolve, doing what he was meant to do. An incredible and incredibly hard to explain sensation. Unbelievable. Next, I want to take a look at a reel from our Instagram. So let's roll that.
If there's one thing Saginaw knows how to do, it's turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. And this year's 11th annual Outhouse Races proved it. From handcrafted ski-mounted restrooms to a community sledding hill buzzing with laughter, this winter tradition brought people together for a day of fun, competition, and creative engineering. And if you thought this was just a quirky, small-town spectacle, think again. The 11th running was the biggest turnout yet, with 3 bustling food trucks, a warming tent to throw out frozen fingers, and even ESPN covering the madness. Saginaw's beloved event has officially gone big time. What started over a decade ago as a grassroots winter challenge has evolved into a big festival, with businesses, families, and thrill seekers embracing the sheer absurdity of racing outhouses down a snowy track.
Outhouse races. It's not refined. It's not fancy. It's not expensive. It's not anything else other than having a good time. Coming up with this idea and having a gas doing it. And you can see, on the reel, you hear, they talk about ESPN being there. You can see, if you look closely, you can see the ESPN banner in the back. And that just absolutely cracks me up. When we think of ESPN, you think of Wimbledon, you think of the Masters, you think of the Super Bowl, or just all sorts of grand sporting events. And then we've got the outhouse racing. And I just love that. I love it because they're obviously having a great time. Look at these guys out there pushing this thing, running. Some of them have no coats on. Pure Michigan man right there. Just racing in the snow with no coat on in February because your blood is so thick. You become so used to the winter at that point. It's really just a testament to human ingenuity. Human ingenuity to have a good time. Turn it into a race. And just enjoy yourself. And make do with what you got, even in the cold winter. And in Saginaw, that means outhouse racing. I love it. I'm OW Root for Michigan Enjoyer.